This presentation is set up to help you get familiar with using ARGOS. This is a specific tutorial for training the assistant to the general and organic chemistry program directors. So the goal of this presentation is that after reviewing these materials, the replacement for the assistant to the general and organic chemistry program directors should be able to access ARGOS and use the program to meet the needs of the office. So what is ARGOS? ARGOS is a UGA reporting system directly tied to Banner. This system allows reporting and enrollment numbers and course rolls of current and past semesters to be pulled up, to be looked at and manipulated. It allows class schedule proofs to be pulled, and these class schedule proofs include course title, professor, enrollment caps, room and building numbers, etc. It also allows information from the reports to be exported to Excel. So why does the chemistry department use ARGOS? We have a really high enrollment and high demand for our classes. Our general chemistry program, the first course starts in the typical freshman first semester. So students come directly into college and have to take Chem 1211 for their programs and their degrees. This stresses a lot of people out. Our courses are empty except through orientation. When I say that these courses are high demand, they are high demand and high emotion courses. Students are knocking down my door to get into these when they're full. So ARGOS allows us to stay on top of current enrollment numbers, waitlist numbers, and course offerings just for this reason. ARGOS allows the most up-to-date information to be pulled, exported to Excel, sorted, and customized to meet the demands of the department. This is super important as well. I maintain a lot of records here in the office, and this is just really important. Without ARGOS, a tedious study of Athena would be necessary to produce the same numbers. I cannot imagine what I would have to go through pre-ARGOS. Even though I went through it, with IMS and TSO, we did have to go through and just manually count numbers, and it was a pain. This is great. I can just sum at the bottom of an Excel column and move on, and I can spend my time much more wisely. So how to access ARGOS? The first thing that you're going to have to do is get an ARCH pass, which you can get through EITS. For secure systems, we now have to have a 2-point identifier to get into the systems. One of those is an ARCH pass, and one of those is your MyID and password. And the second thing is to get trained. You'll need to contact the registrar's office and to get formally trained on Banner and ARGOS. This tutorial is really just how ARGOS affects the chemistry department and how you can use the system to do your job better and to make your job easier. So once you get trained in an ARCH pass, there are 2 ways to get into into ARGOS. The first is this screen, which is the front screen of the Banner login. So you can see in that bottom right hand corner with the arrow, that is where you would click and you would just get there and you could log in. The other way is to access ARGOS by entering in the URL below. So you can click there, make it a bookmark. This is usually the way that I get into ARGOS. I think it's a lot easier. So once you either click the hyperlink or go in through the Banner login screen, you will be able to log in with your MyID and password. So you'll have to log in with your ARCH pass and everything, and then you'll also have to log into this. So navigating ARGOS. So it's pretty easy. You can see it's pretty straightforward looking. It's very simple, nothing flashy. So once you're logged in, users should just select the ARGOS web viewer on the first screen. You'll be given an option to select ARGOS or ARGOS web viewer. You want to go with the web viewer. After selecting the web viewer, you'll just go to student course scheduling on the next screen. You'll be able to see that here where it says student course scheduling at the top. And then once you click there, you'll be able to see the menu that is in the screenshot. So I'll just briefly go through the functions of each ARGOS choice, each of the selections that you have for the reports. The first is browse enrollment. It'll allow you to see live data relating to course enrollments for each course. This goes for all courses in the university. The system, you either can choose everything, or you can choose one department, or you can go back and forth. So you really can look and try to help students when they're registering by checking other departments and other courses, but for the most part we just stay in chemistry. But okay, second thing, class roll. Pretty self-explanatory. You'll select the CRN number and the term, which semester you want, and then you can access the course roles. This allows you to see whoever has been enrolled from the last day of drop add. So once drop add is over and the course roll is solidified, you're good to go. You can see who adds, who withdraws, who whatever. So the next thing is the class schedule. This allows you to see an entire class schedule for the university. It's updated nightly to Athena. This is not live data. It's updated as it's updated at night. It's exported to Athena, and it stays here where you can access it through ARGOS. The course schedule classes proof. We use this function a lot, and I will discuss that more as we go through this presentation. But this allows users to see a course schedule for a selected department, so you can see every class offered for chemistry in a semester and manipulate the data that way. So CRN 100% responsibility. I've never really had to use this function. This would allow users to view the allocation of responsibility among instructors for designated courses. Yeah, so some of our courses have 2 instructors, but really like not enough to warrant me using this report. And then this one's new, so the pre-registration seats in high demand courses. I've never had to use that before. I don't know what its function will be, and I'm excited for you to be able to look into that and to see if it can help with a few things. We do have some high demand courses, so it would be awesome to see what's going on there. And then the student registration permit overrides allows users to view overrides given to students by whom and when. This is really an important function, and I'll get more into that later. But yeah, it just shows the overrides that you've provided and who you've given them to in student information. So I use 4 functions the most, and I've ranked them highest to lowest. So browse enrollment, course schedule, classes proof, class roll, student registration permit, overrides. And I'll go through each of those. So first is browse enrollment. So this screen is used frequently due to the ever-changing enrollments in our courses. It's the only live screen in ARGOS, and due to high demand, we need minute-by-minute updates on course enrollment so we can decide whether or not to open more seats. As I talked about earlier, these courses are very high demand and very stressful to get into. So this screen can help me and the lab managers make split-second decisions about opening more seats. I can view the wait list and see how many people are on there. I can view how many people are in the courses and how many sections we have open. It's really helpful. I sometimes will export these to Excel if I have to send things digitally, if I have to send numbers digitally, but for the most part, I really don't export this to Excel. The numbers change, they're live, so they're going to change immediately. So if you need something for long term, this may not be the best screen to get a report from. So this is the screenshot of what this looks like. To use this screen, it's pretty simple. You'll just select the term from the drop-down menu. So the term is just going to be the 4-digit year followed by a semester code. For spring, that's 02. For summer, that's 05. And for fall, it's 08. Next, you'll select the course. For this office, you're of course going to use Chem. Then you can do a couple things. One, the quick view will automatically populate. If you want to actually run a report, you'll just go up to the top here and click reports and use the drop down and then click run. And then at the bottom of the screen, you'll get a little pop-up that says open or save, and you can open or save whatever you need to. And then it will go to your downloads folder as like a report 1, report 2, whatever report you're on for that day, and you can manipulate the data that way. I think, like I said, this browse enrollment, you may not want to do that too often, but it can be helpful times. So the course schedule classes proof. So it's really important to use this screen when you're creating courses in Banner. The job is very tedious. For just general and organic chemistry, I put in 250 classes a semester, including all of the lab sections. And I get interrupted while I'm doing it. I get bored while I'm doing it. The numbers may change while I'm doing it. So this proof is very important for a couple of reasons. One, before I even start putting in the courses, I'm able to go pull it from the previous spring. Let's say I'm doing the spring's courses. I can go pull previous spring and see what classes to put in. Of course, you're going to want to check with the faculty members and department head before you do that, but it gives a good outline of what things are going to look like. And then once I put the courses in, I can go in and check and make sure that I did not make mistakes. Super important. So, like I say here, everyone makes mistakes. Everyone who does this job is going to make a mistake. Everyone across campus is making mistakes in Banner. But the best thing is that we have this screen. We can double check everything. So it may not be a big deal to mess up like a 5-minute window, but if we accidentally open a course that shouldn't be open, or we, put in too many seats for a course, that is chaos when we realize it, especially if people have already registered. And I do export this file. I do manipulate this file a lot in Excel, and I keep a file every semester for my records. So this is what this screen looks like. Again, you're going to do the term like we discussed during Browse Enrollment. You're going to select the subject, which would be Chem. Quick View would automatically populate, and then you'll just, if you want to report, you can just click on Reports up here, right here, and then click Run. You can then open or save the file. Alright, class roll. So this is pretty self-explanatory. Again, if a faculty member needs a class roll, this is where you would get it from. It is very helpful with withdrawals. That is like the key part of when you will use the course roll. So like I mentioned, anytime after drop add a student is added or withdraws from the class, this class roll function records that. It's helpful with 1210. It's very helpful with withdrawals. I keep a withdrawal spreadsheet every semester, so I go through and pull every class roll, export it, sort by withdrawals or registration type, and then copy and paste to my withdrawal spreadsheet. That's really all I use this class roll for. Most faculty members are going to use ELC or Athena. So this is what this screen looks like. To use the function, you'll just need to know the specific CRN number, which you will memorize most likely as you're going through the job. Every semester, Athena and Banner keep them the same. So if Dr. Morrison teaches a class in the spring, every semester his CRN will be the same. So after a year, you'll know things. You'll have them down pat, and you'll be able to use the system even more quickly. But if you don't know them, you can find them on the course schedule of classes proof or the Browse Enrollment screen. Either of those will show you the CRN numbers. So you'll just put in the CRN number, select your term, like we discussed before, and you'll have to actually hit Run Quick View on this screen. But again, you can manipulate this data down here with these buttons. You can do this on every screen. I don't know if I mentioned that. You can manipulate the data there, or you can export the files, like export the reports, which is what I have to do, and then manipulate them in Excel. Okay, so student registration permit overrides. So this is the last one. So this report is mainly used to double check that students given overrides have the necessity to do so. So some of them will be transfer students. Some of them won't have their credentials in the system yet. So those it won't be so helpful for, but for the most part it's students uncoupling the lecture and lab co-requisites. So it will be very helpful just to double check that you've given those. I always pull this report shortly before the semester starts so that I can double check my overrides. That's pretty much all I use this for, is just to double check things. It also helps up because, like I mentioned, when we changed over to Banner and Athena, anyone across campus can provide any override they see fit, as long as they have the permissions to just blanket give overrides. But for our department, our policy is that only myself and Gannett should be able to apply overrides for chemistry students. There is an exception. Students in the honors program sometimes will get overrides for that, but for the most part, if you see anyone else's name, you can just email the person and just remind them of the chemistry department's policy. I've had to do that a few times. Most people were just in a hurry and they felt like the system warranted them doing it, which sometimes is understandable, but we just want to make sure that we have the right people providing overrides, because we do have to double check things. So this is the screen. Again, you'll select the term, select the subject, and then you'll see Quick View is automatically populated. You can select your report that you want to run, export it to Excel, open it from your downloads folder, and manipulate the data as needed. Alright, so that was the 4 things that I mainly use. So who will ask for these reports? So, like I've mentioned, the most part is going to be a couple of faculty members, and they'll just continuously ask you for these things, like over the year, over the semesters. You'll kind of know, just get into a routine with these people about when to start giving them the information. So one of them is Dr. Panta, and he'll need it for his ongoing prerequisite changes with Chem 1211 and Math 1113. He's trying to get them set up to where Math 1113 is a prerequisite for Chem 1211, not a co-requisite. So in doing so, he'll need to have enrollment information. He'll need that for math as well as chemistry, so you may have to just be careful that you change the math department when you're in the screens selecting which reports to run. And then this data is also helpful for him with his 1210 enrollments. You'll be able to see who's late added. When you do the drop back paperwork, you'll be able to see how many students are in each section, and so on and so on. So lab managers, I work with them on a daily basis, so you'll get to know them pretty well, and they'll be able to give you this information or get this information from you to help them determine if more labs need to be opened. Especially when it's crunch time, they may be asking you pretty frequently. So knowing the information, checking it in the morning, so when they pop by you can know it, even though it's easy to get into the system, that would just be really helpful. And then Christy Huff or Dr. Amster will ask for information to aid in filling out reports and surveys for our chemistry courses. They just have to do brief surveys and reports and things like that every semester. Keeping an updated enrollment and withdrawal spreadsheet, which I have and can show you later, is really helpful. So I don't have to find the information every time they ask. I have it already figured out. So as you can see, and I think as this presentation has shown you, having access to this information helps a lot of people, and it is vital in making the department be able to serve as many students as it does. You're going to have a pretty big job. It's going to be a pretty crazy couple semesters getting used to what you're going to be doing, but when you get in the hang of it, it just becomes routine and you'll just know what to look for. So who to ask when you need help. So of course you can always email me. I've included my email address here. You can also email the registrar's office. They're going to be the ones who train you. So once you kind of get trained, you may want to come back to me to ask, you know, how can I use this for the chemistry department? How can I use this for the job? But if you just have email questions about why something isn't working or things like that, the registrar's office would be who you'd want to ask. And I always say this, especially with learning new computer systems, just taking like some time out of your day and just getting into the system and playing around and running some reports and finding out what you can learn is going to be the best thing for you to do. It's going to help make things go so much easier. It's going to help you learn exactly what tools you have at your disposal. So I would just recommend doing that, especially you're starting at a pretty slow time of year, so I think this is the best time for you to learn these new systems. And as always, good luck, and I hope that you really, you know, have found this presentation helpful, and I hope that you'll be able to look back on it and get the information that you need as it comes up. And of course, again, you can always email me if you have questions.